Can you imagine feeding a family of 6 on less than $1 a day? During the Great Depression, Appalachian families turned simple ingredients into hearty winter meals that kept hunger at bay. Today, we're exploring 25 ingenious dishes that sustained mountain communities through America's darkest economic period. Let's start with cornbread and beans. This wasn't just a meal, it was survival itself for countless hillbilly families. Picture a cast-iron skillet filled with golden cornbread, its edges crispy from bacon grease, sitting next to a pot of pinto beans that had been soaking since dawn. The beans cost about 3 cents per pound in 1932, while cornmeal ran just 2 cents. Families would cook massive pots on Monday that lasted through Wednesday, adding a ham bone when they had one. The cornbread recipe passed down through generations used no eggs or milk, just cornmeal, water, salt, and whatever fat was available. Mountain families knew the secret was cooking beans low and slow with a chunk of fat back, creating a rich pot liquor that became gravy for the cornbread. Children would crumble their cornbread directly into their bean bowl, creating a filling mush that stuck to their ribs through long winter days. This combination provided complete proteins when meat was scarce, and a family of 5 could eat heartily for under 15 cents. Potato soup. When the cold winds howled through the Cumberland Gap, nothing warmed a family quite like a pot of potato soup bubbling on the wood stove. Potatoes sold for about 50 cents per bushel in 1933, making them one of the most economical foods available. Mountain women would dice 5 or 6 large potatoes, adding whatever onions they'd stored in the root cellar. The base was usually water, though lucky families might have milk from their cow or goat. A tablespoon of bacon grease or butter transformed this simple soup into something special. Some families added wild ramps or garlic they'd foraged and dried the previous spring. The soup cooked all day, potatoes breaking down to thicken the broth naturally. By supper time, it was creamy without cream, rich without meat. Mothers would stretch it further by adding dumpling-like drops of biscuit dough in the final minutes. One large pot could feed a family for 2 days, costing roughly 8 cents total. Many Depression-era children later recalled this soup's distinctive smell, greeting them after trudging home through snow. Lima beans and ham. Christmas ham bones were treasures in Appalachian households, saved specifically for this substantial winter dish. Dried lima beans cost about 4 cents per pound and would triple in size when cooked. Families soaked them overnight in cold spring water, then simmered them with that precious ham bone for hours. The bone released its marrow and bits of clinging meat, flavoring the entire pot. Smart cooks added a splash of sorghum. Molasses, which cost 10 cents a quart and added depth without sweetness. The beans were ready when they turned creamy and pale, usually after 4 hours of gentle cooking. This meal was so valued that families often traded goods for ham bones after holiday meals. A single bone could flavor beans for a family of 6, creating a dish that provided energy for hard winter work. Children helped by sorting the dried beans, removing stones and shriveled ones. The leftover bean liquid never went to waste. It became the base for tomorrow's soup or was sopped up with cornbread, fried potatoes, and onions. Before dawn, the sound of potatoes hitting hot grease signaled the start of another winter day in mountain cabins. Families stored hundreds of pounds of potatoes in root cellars, knowing they'd last through March if kept properly. The potatoes were sliced thin with sharp knives, as mandolin slicers were city luxuries. Cast-iron skillets, often wedding gifts passed through generations, were essential. A tablespoon of bacon grease or lard heated until shimmering, then in went the potatoes and onions. The trick was patience, letting them develop a golden crust before flipping. Some families added wild onions or ramps for extra flavor. The dish cost about 5 cents to make a skillet full that fed 4 people. It served as breakfast with eggs when available, lunch on its own, or supper alongside beans. During the harshest winters when other foods ran low, fried potatoes might be all 3 meals. The smell of frying potatoes became so associated with home that Depression children would recall it decades later. Gravy and biscuits. Every morning in hillbilly households began with the ritual of biscuit making, a skill passed from mother to daughter. Flour cost about 3 cents per pound, and resourceful women made it stretch impossibly far. The gravy started with whatever drippings were saved: bacon grease, sausage fat, or even plain lard. 2 tablespoons of fat, 2 tablespoons of flour, and careful stirring created the roux. Slowly adding milk or water while stirring prevented lumps. When milk was scarce, water gravy sustained families just as well. Some added coffee to darken it, calling it red-eye gravy. The biscuits required no eggs or milk, just flour, lard, salt, and buttermilk made from churning butter. Women prided themselves on biscuits so light they seemed to float. A dozen biscuits used about 2 cups of flour, costing maybe 2 cents. The gravy ingredients added another penny. For 3 cents, a family had a filling breakfast that provided energy for morning chores. Children learned to split biscuits perfectly, creating pockets for gravy to pool. Stew, beef, or pork. When a cow or pig was slaughtered, families knew exactly which cuts went into the stew pot, the tough pieces that needed long cooking. These cheaper cuts cost about 8 cents per pound when store-bought. The meat was browned in lard first, sealing in flavor. Then came layers of vegetables: potatoes, carrots from the root cellar, dried corn reconstituted with water, and maybe turnips. Everything went into the big iron pot that hung over the fire. The secret ingredient was time. 6 hours minimum of slow simmering. Families added water as needed, creating more broth to extend the meal. Wild herbs like sassafras or hickory bark added unique mountain flavor. 1 pot of stew, using 2 pounds of meat and 5 pounds of vegetables, cost about 30 cents total, but fed a family for 3 days. The first day featured chunks of meat. The second day saw it stretched with dumplings, and the third day's version became a thick soup with added water and vegetables, cabbage and bacon. Late-season cabbage could survive in root cellars until February, making this dish a winter staple. A head of cabbage cost about 2 cents at country stores. Families who raised pigs always saved bacon ends and pieces for flavoring vegetables. The cabbage was chopped rough, not fine like city slaw. Into the hot skillet went 3 strips of bacon, rendered until crispy. The cabbage went directly into that hot bacon grease, sizzling and wilting down to 1/3 of its original size. Some families added a splash of apple cider vinegar, which they'd made from fallen apples. Others preferred a pinch of sugar to balance the cabbage's bite. The dish took about 20 minutes from start to finish, making it popular for quick suppers. 1 large head of cabbage could feed 6 people as a side dish. The bacon pieces were distributed carefully, ensuring everyone got a taste. This simple dish provided vitamin C through winter months when fresh vegetables were memories. Dried beans with ham hocks. Ham hocks were the working person's gold during the Depression, selling for about 5 cents each when available. These knuckle joints seemed like nothing but bone and skin, yet they transformed humble beans into feasts. Navy beans or pintos soaked overnight, then went into the pot with 2 ham hocks for a family meal. The hocks released collagen during cooking, creating a silky, rich broth that coated the beans. Mountain cooks added bay leaves from trees behind their cabins and black pepper when they had it. The beans simmered all day while women did washing or mending. By evening, the meat fell off the bones, shredded and stirred back through the beans. A pound of dried beans cost 4 cents, 2 hocks cost 10 cents, yet this 14-cent investment fed 8 people generously. Leftover beans improved overnight, flavors melding. Some families made leather britches beans, green beans dried on strings, to add variety to winter bean dishes. Mush and milk. Before cereal boxes existed, mountain children ate cornmeal mush for breakfast, and many grew strong on it. Yellow cornmeal cost less than white, about 2 cents per pound, making it the economical choice. The ratio was crucial: 1 cup cornmeal to 4 cups water, stirred constantly to prevent lumps. Salt was the only seasoning, though some families added a precious spoonful of sugar. The mush cooked until thick enough to hold a spoon upright, about 20 minutes of stirring. Served hot with milk when available, or with sorghum syrup when not. Leftover mush was poured into bread pans, cooled until firm, then sliced and fried for tomorrow's breakfast. This fried mush developed a crispy exterior while staying creamy inside. Some families made a week's worth every Sunday, storing the formed loaves in the cold pantry. 1 pound of cornmeal made enough mush for a family breakfast 3 days running. The dish cost about 3 cents per day to feed 6 people. Chili. Mountain chili bore little resemblance to Texas versions, but filled bellies just as well. Ground beef was a luxury, so families used whatever meat was available: squirrel, rabbit, or venison, mixed with a little pork. The meat was browned with chopped onions in a large pot. Canned tomatoes, put up during summer, provided the base. Dried beans, usually pintos or kidneys, had soaked overnight. Chili powder was homemade from dried peppers grown in summer gardens, mixed with cumin seeds when available. The pot simmered for hours, flavors melding, beans softening. Some families added corn cut from cobs and dried, reconstituting in the bubbling chili. A pot using 1 pound of meat, 2 pounds of beans, and home canned tomatoes cost about 20 cents total. It fed a large family for 2 days, served with cornbread for sopping. The spice level varied by family preference and pepper availability. Children learned to eat it hot, as the capsaicin helped preserve the dish without refrigeration. Hobo stew. The name told the story. This was assembled from whatever was available, just like the meals traveling workers made in camps. Families kept a perpetual pot going on the back of the stove, adding ingredients as they appeared. Monday's leftover potatoes, Tuesday's carrot ends, Wednesday's ham bone, Thursday's cabbage core, everything went in. The base was usually water, though beef bones from the butcher added richness when available for free. Wild onions, cattail roots, and dandelion greens foraged from fields supplemented garden vegetables. The stew never emptied completely. New ingredients joined the old in an endless cycle. Some families' stew pots hadn't been empty in years, developing complex flavors impossible to recreate. The only rule was maintaining safe temperature, keeping it hot enough to prevent spoilage. Cost was impossible to calculate since ingredients were scraps and foraged items. This resourcefulness meant nothing edible went to waste. Children sent to gather kindling also watched for edible plants to add to the pot. Baked sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes grew well in southern Appalachian soil and stored perfectly in root cellars through winter. At 2 cents per pound, they provided more nutrition than white potatoes. Families banked their fires at night with large sweet potatoes nestled in the coals, waking to perfectly baked breakfast. The skins turned crispy and caramelized, while the insides became creamy and sweet. No butter or sugar needed. Properly baked sweet potatoes were dessert sweet naturally. Some families grew specific varieties like Nancy Halls or Puerto Ricos, prized for their sweetness. Children carried baked sweet potatoes to school as hand warmers that became lunch. Large potatoes were split and shared, steam rising in cold mountain air. The natural sugars caramelized during long cooking, creating candy-like edges that children fought over. A family could bake a dozen at once in the oven's coals, eating them throughout the week. They provided vitamin A when orange vegetables were scarce, preventing night blindness common in malnourished populations. Fried green tomatoes. When frost threatened, mountain families picked every green tomato, knowing they wouldn't ripen, but refusing to waste them. Green tomatoes were sliced thick, about ½ an inch, then dredged in seasoned cornmeal. The cornmeal coating was simple: salt, pepper, and maybe a pinch of cayenne. Into hot bacon grease or lard they went, sizzling until golden on both sides. The tartness of green tomatoes paired perfectly with the crispy, savory coating. Some families made a milk gravy to pour over them, stretching the dish further. Others ate them as is, appreciating the tangy crunch. A dozen large green tomatoes made enough for a family meal, costing virtually nothing since they'd have been lost to frost anyway. The tradition started from necessity, but became a beloved dish. Children learned to judge doneness by sound, the vigorous sizzle quieting as moisture cooked away. Leftover fried green tomatoes were packed in lunch pails, eaten cold but still delicious, pinto beans and cornbread. This combination appeared on mountain tables more than any other, sometimes daily for months. Pintos were chosen over other beans for their creamy texture and earthy flavor that paired with cornbread perfectly. A pound of dried pintos, costing 4 cents, fed a family when cooked with skill. The beans were sorted carefully, stones and bad beans removed, then soaked overnight in cold water. Morning brought fresh water and long, slow cooking with a ham bone or chunk of salt pork. The cornbread was made in a screaming hot cast-iron skillet greased with bacon drippings. The batter, cornmeal, buttermilk, salt, and soda, hit that hot skillet with a satisfying sizzle. Some families added an egg when available, but it wasn't necessary. The ritual of crumbling cornbread into bean juice, creating a thick soup, was learned young. This meal provided complete protein, essential when meat was monthly rather than daily. Together, beans and cornbread for 8 people cost about 10 cents. Sausage gravy and biscuits. When families butchered hogs, they made sausage from scraps and seasonings, stretching meat impossibly far. A half-pound of sausage, costing about 5 cents, flavored enough gravy for 6 people. The sausage was crumbled and browned in a skillet, rendered fat pooling. Flour was sprinkled directly onto the meat, stirring quickly to prevent burning. Milk or water was added slowly, creating thick white gravy flecked with sausage. Mountain families seasoned heavily with black pepper, sometimes using wild peppercorns. Sage grew wild and was dried for sausage seasoning. The biscuits were made with lard worked into flour until the mixture resembled coarse meal. Buttermilk brought it together into a soft dough, barely handled to ensure tenderness. Hot biscuits were split, flooded with gravy, and eaten with strong coffee. This 15-cent breakfast powered men through logging or mining shifts. Children learned to make cat head biscuits, large as a cat's head, perfect for holding maximum gravy, rice and beans. Rice wasn't traditional mountain food, but at 3 cents per pound, families adapted. Combined with beans, it created complete protein without meat. Red beans and rice became common, using kidney beans when available. The beans cooked first, flavored with whatever was available, bacon ends, ham bones, or just onions and garlic. Rice was added in the final 30 minutes, absorbing the flavorful bean liquid. Some families had learned from black neighbors about adding bay leaves and thyme. Others created their own versions with wild herbs. A pound each of rice and beans, costing 7 cents total, fed 6 people for 2 meals. The dish improved overnight, flavors melding, rice absorbing more liquid. Some families added chopped greens in the final minutes, stretching it further. Hot sauce was made from homegrown peppers preserved in vinegar. This filling meal became a Friday tradition when meat was avoided for religious reasons. Fried apples. Appalachian families had apple trees, but storing apples through winter was challenging. Frying them preserved their sweetness while creating a versatile dish. Apples were cored and sliced into rings, keeping the peels for nutrition and texture. A cast-iron skillet with butter or bacon grease heated over medium fire. The apple slices went in single layers, not crowded. Sugar was precious, so families relied on the apple's natural sweetness, adding just a pinch if needed. Cinnamon was a Christmas luxury, carefully rationed through winter. The apples cooked until tender and caramelized, edges turning golden brown. Some families added a splash of water, creating a syrup. Fried apples accompanied any meal, beside eggs at breakfast, with pork at dinner, or alone as dessert. They were also filling for biscuits or eaten with cornbread. Using windfall apples that couldn't be stored, this dish cost virtually nothing, but provided vitamins and comfort through cold months. Cornmeal mush. Different from breakfast mush, this dinner version was heartier and more elaborate. Families started with the basic ratio but added ingredients for substance. Chopped, onions were sautéed in grease first, then water added for cooking cornmeal. Some added chopped greens, others included bits of meat when available. The mush cooked thick, then was poured into greased pans to set. Once firm, it was sliced and fried until crispy outside, creamy inside. These fried mush cakes replaced bread at dinner, soaking up pot liquor from greens or beans. Some families layered different flavors, plain, then herb-seasoned, then one with cracklings. The visual appeal mattered during hard times, making meals feel special. A pan of mush using 1 pound of cornmeal cost 2 cents, but provided side dish for multiple meals. Cold mush was packed for lunch, eaten like bread with beans or greens between slices. Squash and corn. Summer's bounty preserved for winter created this colorful, nutritious dish. Butternut squash stored well in root cellars, staying firm through February. Corn was cut from cobs and dried or canned during harvest. The combination provided sweetness without sugar. Squash was peeled and cubed, then cooked with reconstituted corn in a bit of water. Butter was ideal, but bacon grease worked too. Some families added lima beans, creating succotash. The vegetables cooked until tender but not mushy, about 20 minutes. Onions were sometimes added for depth. Salt and pepper were the only seasonings needed. The natural sweetness satisfied cravings when sugar was scarce. This dish cost about 5 cents to make a pot serving 6. It provided vitamins A and C during months when fresh vegetables were memories. Children liked the sweet taste and bright colors. Leftovers were mashed and fried as patties for breakfast, crispy outside with sweet, creamy centers. Turnip greens and cornbread. Turnips grew into winter, their greens becoming sweeter after frost. Families valued greens as much as roots, knowing they prevented pellagra. The greens were washed multiple times, sandy mountain soil clinging stubbornly. A large pot of water with ham hock or salt pork started boiling. Greens were added in batches, wilting down to fit more. They cooked for hours until tender, creating nutritious pot liquor. Some families added turnip roots, diced small. Hot pepper vinegar was passed at the table for those wanting kick. The cornbread was essential for sopping the vitamin-rich liquid. Families made sure everyone, especially children, drank the pot liquor. A mess of greens cost nothing if grown, maybe 3 cents if bought. Combined with cornbread, this 5-cent meal fed 6 people while providing crucial vitamins. The tradition of saving pot liquor as tonic for sick family members showed mountain wisdom about nutrition. Beef hash. When Sunday's roast beef seemed like a distant memory, Monday's hash stretched those leftovers into another meal. Leftover beef was chopped fine with sharp knives, mixed with diced potatoes and onions. Everything went into a hot skillet with beef drippings or lard. The key was patience, letting it cook, undisturbed until a crust formed, then flipping like a pancake. Some families added leftover vegetables, creating rainbow hash. Others kept it simple: meat, potatoes, onions. A properly made hash developed a crispy bottom called the prize, fought over by children. 2 cups of chopped beef and 4 potatoes made enough hash for 6 people. The approximate cost was 8 cents, using leftovers that might have been wasted, served with eggs when available, or topped with gravy when not. Some families added Worcestershire sauce, a rare condiment saved for special occasions. Hash taught children that leftovers weren't inferior, but transformed into something new and delicious. Spoon bread. Softer than cornbread, spoon bread was comfort food that used eggs when available. The cornmeal was cooked with milk or water until thick, then cooled slightly. Beaten eggs were folded in, creating a souffle-like texture. Baking powder wasn't always available, so beaten egg whites provided lift. The batter was poured into a greased pan and baked until puffed and golden. Unlike regular cornbread, spoon bread stayed soft and custardy inside. It was served with spoons, hence the name, often as a side dish. Some families made it the main dish, serving it with gravy or syrup. When eggs were scarce, families made false spoon bread with extra liquid and longer cooking. A pan serving 8 used 3 eggs, 2 cups cornmeal, and milk, costing about 12 cents total. This was special occasion food made when company came or for Sunday dinner. Children remembered spoon bread as celebration food during lean times, fried chicken livers. When chickens were killed, nothing was wasted, especially the nutrient-rich organs. Livers were carefully cleaned, removing any green bile sac that would add bitterness. They were dredged in seasoned flour, then fried in hot lard until crispy outside but still pink inside. Overcooking made them tough and grainy. Some families soaked livers in buttermilk first, mellowing their strong flavor. Others preferred them straight, appreciating the iron-rich intensity. Fried livers were often breakfast food, served with biscuits and gravy. The hearts and gizzards were fried too, requiring longer cooking. A pound of livers cost about 3 cents at the store, nothing if from home chickens. This small investment provided high-quality protein and prevented anemia. Children who initially resisted grew to love them, especially when perfectly fried. The cooking smell was distinctive, announcing a protein-rich meal. Leftover fried livers were chopped and mixed with boiled eggs for sandwich filling, tomato gravy, and rice. When milk was scarce, resourceful cooks made gravy from home-canned tomatoes. The method started like regular gravy, fat and flour making a roux. Instead of milk, juice from canned tomatoes was added slowly. The tomatoes themselves were chopped and stirred in, creating chunky red gravy. Some families added a pinch of sugar to balance acidity. Others preferred it tangy, adding more pepper. This gravy was thinner than milk gravy, but full of flavor. Served over rice, it created a filling meal from pantry staples. Rice absorbed the tomato gravy, turning pink and flavorful. Some families added leftover vegetables or meat to the gravy. A quart of canned tomatoes, flour, and grease made enough gravy for 6 servings. With rice, the total cost was about 6 cents. This became a favorite during Lent when dairy was avoided. Children called it pink rice, requesting it even when milk was available. Molasses and biscuits. For mountain children, molasses and biscuits meant dessert during times when sugar disappeared from tables. Sorghum molasses was produced locally, costing about 10 cents per quart. Families who helped with molasses making received gallons as payment. The dark, complex sweetness differed from store-bought sweets, but satisfied cravings. Hot biscuits were split, buttered when possible, then drizzled with molasses. The molasses soaked in, creating pockets of sweetness. Some families mixed molasses with butter, creating a spread that lasted longer. Others preferred straight molasses, appreciating its mineral-rich intensity. This simple dessert provided iron and calcium when milk was scarce. Children learned to catch drips with their biscuits, wasting nothing. Some families made molasses cookies when flour and lard were plentiful, stretching the sweetness further. Cold biscuits with molasses became standard lunch pail desserts. The combination cost about 2 cents per serving, making it the most affordable sweet available during winter months when fresh fruits were gone. Thanks for joining us on this trip down memory lane. If you enjoyed these glimpses of Depression-era mountain cooking, give it a like and share it with someone who appreciates history. And don't forget to subscribe.